In continuation of the last videos on mechanism of organic reactions of BSc Part 1 Organic Chemistry, in this video we are going to study some methods for determination of reaction mechanism. First, let's take method intermediate studies. Many organic reactions occur through intermediates which may be either stable or unstable. The stable intermediates are studied by isolation method and the unstable intermediates are studied by trapping, and both type of intermediates can be studied by spectroscopic methods. First, let's take up isolation. Intermediates which are stable, they are usually isolated by stopping the reaction before completion many times at different stages. So if any intermediate is formed at that stage, it can be isolated. For example, three intermediates are formed in Hofmann's bromamide reaction. So if we see the mechanism, then we see that RCONH2 in the presence of bromine and KOH and the elimination of KBr and water produces intermediate 1. This first intermediate then further reacts with KOH, giving rise to second intermediate, and the second intermediate after debromination forms third intermediate, and this third intermediate on reaction with KOH finally yields the product. Thus, any proposed mechanism for the accepted mechanism must account for the formation of all the 1, 2 and 3 intermediates, and if any mechanism which cannot account for all these 3 intermediates cannot be validated. The next method we came to is trapping. Unstable intermediate can be isolated by trapping. In this method, the reaction is carried out in presence of such compounds which form adduct with the intermediates. For example, in the case of carbene intermediate, the reactions are carried out in the presence of propene. So the propene traps the carbene and forms an adduct of cyclic type. In the case of benzene intermediates, the reactions are carried in the presence of anthracene, and this anthracene traps benzene and forms tryptocene. And the third is spectroscopy. Formation of many intermediates can be detected by spectroscopic method. For example, in electrophilic substitution reaction of benzene, NO2 plus ion in the nitration of benzene is detected by Raman spectroscopy. The next method is isotopic method. The mechanism of many reactions can be studied by using molecules in which the atom is substituted by its isotope, and it is called labeling. For example, hydrolysis of ester forming acid and alcohol. It is seen that the hydrolysis of ester yields an unlabeled alcohol and a labeled acid. Thus, we can say that the mechanism involves the cleavage of acyl oxygen bond and not of alkyl oxygen bond. Then the next method we come to is isotopic effect. The variation in the rate of a reaction when an atom of compound is replaced by its isotope is called isotopic effect. Generally, it is quite negligible. However, if the replacement of an atom by its isotope is involved in the rate determining step of the reaction, then the magnitude of the isotopic effect may be quite large, and that is known as primary isotope effect. The next method is molecular kinetic method. The kinetic evidence alone is not sufficient to determine the mechanism of a particular reaction, as it tells how many molecules are reacting in the rate determining step, but it throws no light on the nature of those reactants, that is in the rate determining step. However, these studies give useful information about the reaction. It is often possible to rule out many mechanisms simply on the basis of the rate law. Most important example where kinetic studies have been useful is in determining the mechanism of the reaction in the hydrolysis of methyl bromide. For example, if we see the reaction between methyl bromide and hydroxide yields methanol and bromide ion, and the rate is of the second order, which can be shown by the rate law. This equation says rate is equal to K concentration of methyl bromide into concentration of hydroxide, and here we see that the rate of the reaction depends on both the concentration of the methyl bromide and also of OH. So it is an SN2 mechanism. And now if we consider the mechanism, then we see that since it is a bimolecular reaction, hence both hydroxide molecule and methyl bromide molecule, they both react together, and we see that the bond between O of H and carbon is in the process of making, and the C and Br is in the process of breaking, and a transition complex is formed, in which we can clearly see that the bond between OH and carbon is in the process of making, and the bond between bromine and carbon is in the process of breaking, and this is a slow step. And as soon as the transition complex is formed, in a fast step it splits into bromide ion and methyl hydroxide, or you can say methyl alcohol. Then we come to formal charge. Formal charge on an atom can be defined as the calculated charge present on the atom in a compound. Formal charge can be calculated by the formula formal charge is equal to Z minus U plus S, where Z is the number of the valence shell electron, U is the number of the unshared electrons, and S is the number of the bonds around the atoms. So, if we consider some examples, the first example we consider is calculation of formal charge on nitrogen and boron in the compound NH3BF3. So, we see that the formal charge on nitrogen is 5 minus 0 plus 4, that is 1, because here we see the Z is 5, unshared electron U is 0, and number of the bonds around is 4. In the case of boron, the formal charge comes to be 3 minus 0 plus 4, that is 1, Z is 3, U is 0, and S is 4. Now we take the second example of the calculation of formal charge on each atom in the HNO3. So the formal charge of HNO3 comes to be 1 minus 0 plus 1, that is 0. For formal charge of nitrogen, it is equal to 5 minus 0 plus 4, that is 1. And the formal charge of oxygen A is 6 minus 4 plus 2, that is 6 minus 6, comes to be 0. Now we come to the formal charge of oxygen B. So it is calculated as 6 minus 6 plus 1, or it is minus 1. For oxygen atom C, the formal charge is equal to 6 minus 4 plus 2, that is 0. Now let us do the calculation of the formal charge for carbocation. In this, the carbon is carrying a positive charge, and so for C carbonium, the formal charge comes to be 4 minus 0 plus 3. So the formal charge is plus 1. For hydrogen, it is 1 minus 0 plus 1. So formal charge on hydrogen, on each hydrogen atom, comes to be 0. And now it is second example. Next example, calculation of formal charge on methyl free radical. For this we see that at carbon there is a free radical, that is unpaired electron. So the formal charge of the carbon with unpaired electron comes to be 4 minus 1 plus 3, because here 4 is the valence shell electron, 1 is the number of the unshared electron, and 3 is the number of bonds around the carbon atom. So the formal charge comes to be 0. And in case of hydrogen, the formal charge comes to be 1 minus 0 plus 1, that is 0. The next example we take is calculation of formal charge on dichlorocarbene. So here carbene has 2 unshared electrons. So the formal charge comes to be 4 minus 2 plus 2. 4 is valence shell electron, 2 is number of unshared electron, and 2 is the number of the bond around carbon with unpaired electron. So the 4 minus 4 comes to be 0. And if we consider Cl, then for Cl comes to be 7 minus 6 plus 1, that is 7 is the valence shell electron, 6 is the number of the unshared electrons, and 1 is the number of the bonds. So the formal charge comes to be 0 for each chlorine atom. The last example we do is calculation of formal charge on methyl carbene ion. Here the carbon carries the negative charge. So formal charge of carbon with negative charge is 4 minus 2 plus 3. That is 4 is the valence shell, 2 is the number of unshared electrons, and 3 is the number of the bonds around the carbon. And the formal charge comes to be minus 1. And if we consider the formal charge on hydrogen, it comes to be 1 minus 0 plus 1, that is 0. That's all for today. Thank you.